Look at all the little creature footprints that have used the same space that we're about to go through. Alright, first stop this morning. Talk a little bit about the winter sowing. In the past, I would do winter sowing in milk jugs. I'll show some pictures of that, hopefully, while I'm talking. And the thing with the milk jugs was they would last about a year. Sometimes they'd make it into 2 years, and then halfway through the second year, the plastic would just completely crack, fall apart, and break. And that just seemed like a waste to do that much work every year, and then to have the plastic fall apart while you were trying to grow stuff in it. So we decided this year we'd just go back to flower pots, which we have in ample supply of. So what's being winter sown? Mostly perennials, almost exclusively perennials. So the snow is a combination of soft snow on top of really, really hard-packed ice and snow. I love seeing all these footprints from the various squirrels and chipmunks and things that have been out here. They've really, they've been everywhere. It's very easy to see that they're using the same space that's around the rose bush, mostly because they want to get down here and eat the bark off of the rose bush. It's a food source during the winter for them. Last year, once this was installed, we had a big open grassy spot in front of the solar panels. And every time we'd mow, it would run the risk of stuff coming out of the mower and blasting towards the solar panels. Not a good combination. What we're doing now is growing in pure wood chips on top of cardboard, on top of what used to be grass, and trying to grow shrubs, perennials, and bulbs. I'll show some pictures of what I would like to think this will look like in years to come, based on an area adjacent to the solar panels that I'll show you in just a second. So we call this area the triangle bed, and when we built the triangle bed 3 years ago, the hope was that it would have 2 or 3 shrubs and that it would hold the plants that we had just picked up from a plant swap. And we figured we'd put in a few bulbs as we were planting the shrubs, and then we would add to it. Well, within a year, we had filled pretty much every space in it. And what we saw early on was that the shrubs were essentially bare in the winter, like right now. And so they wouldn't impede light, so we could use something like that in front of the solar panel. And in the summertime, it forms such a dense canopy that plants really vie for the light. And while the plants are fighting for the light, they get nice and tall, they fill in beautifully, there's a lot of water, there are very few weeds, and it just looks incredible. So a reasonable question to ask is, why on earth am I out here when it's 12 degrees, windy, probably with the wind chill somewhere in the, either single digits or below zero feeling. Like I can't feel my fingers, which holding the camera is kind of tough without fingers. So why am I doing this now? Well, now you can kind of see the clear layout of what this looks like when everything's empty. We'll do a follow-up video sometime, maybe June or July, when everything has grown in. But at that point, the sun that's hitting the solar panels will be directly overhead, not coming in from the south like it is now. One last thing I wanted to point out is how the snow comes off the solar panels almost every day. And it'll build up to somewhere between, a foot below the solar panels, and sometimes it'll even get really close to touching them, depending on how much snow we've had. All of that snow is sitting on top of Baptisia and on top of Camassia bulbs, both of which really like the water. And I'll be very curious to see how they grow in this little microclimate we're creating. Trying to get a little shot of the flags that indicate the different types of Siberian irises that are in this bed. So last year we planted a bunch of Siberian iris seed that we picked up through the Siberian Iris Society, courtesy of Patrick Spence and Bob Hollingworth. And they're iris seeds that other hybridizers had grown and had extra seeds from, and they were shared. And I'm very excited to see what these seeds do come spring. But the more important thing is that the seedlings, now in the beginnings of their second year, are under a blanket of snow, which in theory should keep them well insulated until spring and hopefully have less loss. So we'll see.